Testing. Okay, good morning. Sorry about that. Hang on. Just got to turn the monitor off from my ears. Okay, amazing. So monitor off. Okay, it is 10:30 a.m. Sorry about the false start there. I genuinely can tell you what that is. I plugged my microphone into a different USB-C port on my MacBook, and nope, it just didn't like it. OBS was like, no, thank you, not this morning. We need that to be in the right port. Okay. But we have audio. Very exciting. We have some audio. Okay, right. Live streaming is fun. Welcome to Sunday Club. It is now just after 10:30 a.m. I was running on time this week, but technical issues means I'm 3 minutes late. So this is a weekly live stream where each week we look at some Ruby on Rails coding, and we code along an app together. Previously, we've worked on an app that worked with the Twitch and YouTube APIs and built an application around building a little web page for channels. That's all back in the YouTube stream. So for those watching on Twitch, if you want to watch previous streams, they're all on YouTube. Just look up Sunday Club, Sunday with an AE. And the app that we're working on now is an events application. Specifically, it allows people to organize events and have groups of people book tickets. And in the last few streams, we've taken a look at some alternative approaches to this from applications like, what did we look at? We looked at Eventbrite, Ticket Tailor. Oh, I can't remember what half of them were called. Go back in the video. Sorry, that we looked at like 4 or 5 different alternatives, and none of them really captured the kind of use case that I had bumped into on a previous project, where we wanted to have groups that both the organizers of the event could manage and the participants could manage, and that they were really basically ultimately flexible. So that's going to be things like anything from a fun run where you're taking part in teams, things like any kind of group sports, charity balls where you need people sitting in tables, anything where you just want people to group together. And the reason for that was it was a fundraising events application, which I think is what we're going to try and head for here, which is where people would both want to buy tickets in groups, but then also fundraise for good causes in groups. Let's dive right in, because with our little hiccup on the technical side, we're already running a bit late. So let's bring up our application. So what we're going to do today, we're going to build out the actual ticket buying process, and we're actually going to build out some models, having kind of like roughly sketched some things out in I think we just did some like basic Ruby classes with some properties on. We're going to do things a bit more Railsy, but we're just prototyping, so we're not going to bother with any best practice or good stuff. We're just prototyping. We're just throwing some stuff together to see what sticks. And what we looked at last week was the actual modeling. And what I had given us as a live stream, as a kind of a brief, was basically this idea of treating the ticket buying process as a cart or a basket, more like an e-commerce system. And the reason for that was whenever that was just so commonly requested, it was like, hey, when they buy a ticket, can they also X? And we had basically clamped down the booking process to just buying tickets, and then we had to do other things. You had to go and do things, had to get the users to do things twice. And there's a real trade-off in complexity there, because that makes things nice and simple. You can just get your tickets here, and then if you want to do anything else, you have to go somewhere else. But if you wanted to treat it as more flexible, obviously you have to make your user interface more complex. It's more complex for people registering, because they're like, okay, well, I want to buy 2 tickets for this, and like I said, for good causes, they maybe want to make a donation and buy a t-shirt. So like, is that one process they go through step by step? Do they have to do all of those things up front and then like run the whole order through? And that was kind of what we were looking at with this initial modeling. But let's take this to the next step and try and actually build some of this stuff out with some models. And the reason for that is because where we got to last week was this idea of we had a UI for this. which was somewhere that I can't remember. Didn't we put it on like a dashboard somewhere? Create new event. I just chucked it on a page, basically. I just chucked a form somewhere. Where did we put it? Maybe I didn't even save it. Oh no, I created a new path called cart. Okay, what did we call that? We called it cart. Okay, great. And then I put in a bunch of prototyping code, so none of it worked. Okay, well, that's what we can get working today. Okay, that's fair enough. Because we didn't actually build any of the models out. We just put them as Ruby classes just as examples. And the point, the kind of question I was asking about the modeling, was this idea of if you treat the cart as like, you have the shopping cart idea, this notion. It's a really probably a shit metaphor, but like it's a collection of things that the user has indicated they are willing or want to purchase. Normally with e-commerce, that remains persistent and the checkout is a single step process. But tickets specifically have this idea of like, I mean, I guess e-commerce has this as well, because you do have stock allocation, but with tickets, oh yeah, this is what I was saying. Like you can fail an e-commerce order and be like, hey, sorry, we ran out of stock while you were buying this, if it's not like a super hot item, because you're probably going to get more stock, or like it could just become a deferred order, or however you're going to deal with it. With tickets to a physical event, once you're out, you're out. So what the other ticket platforms were doing was like, when you start that checkout process, you basically have that allocation set at that point, and you're then given this grace period when you can then finish your purchase, and it's finishing your purchase then like seals the allocation as yours. And if you don't finish your purchase, the allocation is released, and the tickets can be repurchased by someone else. And that is where the e-commerce metaphor kind of falls down, like comparison between the two falls down. And when you then have group tickets, which is the thing we're trying to focus on, what we were looking at last week was you have line items in an order that represents the things. So the order kind of represents the financial transactions, the collection of the things being purchased, but also it is a ledger of financial transactions around those things as well. So it could be refunds, partial refunds, individual item refunds, whereas the whole order isn't refunded, all of that stuff. And how do you break that down in terms of what the organizers administrate versus what the user sees? And my point was, is each attendee a line item on the order, or is it just a line item that says 3 tickets and then it's associated with 3 attendees or tickets or whatever you want to call them? And we talked about like some of the ramifications for that. And I think what I am probably going to lean towards is actually making them individual line items and then grouping them, which I think we did here, I think, somewhere. Yeah, so this idea where there is create one line item per attendee, and the kind of idea I came up with off the top of my head, hello in the chat, by the way, good morning, was this idea of we could create one line item for each cart item. And what I mean by that is you're like, okay, well, 5 people want to buy this. Oh no, not for each cart item, sorry. So for each attendee. So 5 people want tickets. The order is £27 or whatever, and then we split that down. Now, I'm not articulating it very well, but we're going to mock it out right now anyway. I'm not sure this is a good idea, which is why I want to prototype it out. And I think it's for this reason. When we do that on, hello Kevin Abbott. Hello, good morning. Welcome to Sunday Club. Nice. So a UUID is basically I'm just going to read that from the chat. So using UUID, I've seen these, but I don't know how it's different from a normal ID. So a UUID is like, I think UU is universally unique, and it's essentially, so it's non-incrementing. So it would be, rather than going from like ID number 1 to ID number 2 to 3 to 4, it's, they're in no way related to each other, and they're pretty much, it's a way of saying I need an ID that is not guaranteed, but massively unlikely to clash with any other ID in my system. And it's because the number of characters in it is so large that you're just not realistically not likely to get clashes. So you can just say I need a string or a value that binds these things together. So I just picked, I just used that as a random example. I needed something that I knew was going to be unique. Because if we group these as number 27, there might be another order with another group of line items that is ordered number 27. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, let's, so I'm not sure this is a good idea for the price reason, in terms of like actually building the cart out, but I'd like to see how we get burned trying to do it. And actually, maybe the more I'm trying to thinking the math through, maybe you get burned immediately, because if you remember in Eventbrite when we were looking at that, when we went to, I changed the price, didn't it? We went to, so let's say the order is £10. No, but it couldn't be that because they're always so where I'm going with this is, let's say the line item is £10 for 3 tickets. That is £3.33 per attendee, right? But it's always going to add up to £9.99, whereas you've lost your penny from your £10 order. But if your line items are always made of multiples of, like, they can never be £10 because the line items when they're tickets are always multiples of a thing that already exists. You can't then have one that's not divisible. It was only in the admin area that I was able to create one that was not divisible because I was basically just typing in an arbitrary price. But does that break down if we then have things like discount pricing or anything like that? Okay, I'm probably getting too far ahead of myself, but I think this might be slightly fundamental to how I'm trying to imagine doing this. And I think it's undoable if we cook it up. So let's give it a go. Let's go and build some models. Let's go and build some actual models. That'll keep us all entertained for a minute. Right. Okay. So we're going to build Rails versions of, yeah, in terms of you could use .build instead of .create, then it's easier to change the price before saving. It's more that what I'm doing here is from the cart that we've got in the UI, which is now not going to work because I've got all this prototype code here. We're basically building these under the hood. So as far as the user sees, they just see one thing where they're like, I want 3 tickets to this and it's £10. They don't really care. These are the artifacts created by the kind of clicking, yes, let's go. Let's demonstrate what I mean. So let's build this out. So we're going to build out order first, ticket type first. I guess we need event as well because this must have an event. I guess we can kind of skip that for now. We can just assume that there is only one event in the system and kind of back to this. This is a good thing. This is what I've said in the last few streams, that it's good to prototype it. If it's just you doing it, you can jump between different levels of fidelity without really caring, about anything. So let's generate. If we generate a model, does it do the migration as well? I normally just do the migration, but will it do the model as well? And what do we know about an order? I think we know absolutely nothing about an order. Yeah, we know nothing about an order. Oh, it's already used. Okay, so let's, yeah, can we just delete this then? Again, one of the fun things about prototyping, we don't care if everything Okay, you do get the migration as well. Cool. Oh, I'd forgotten how handy it is to use the little terminal inside VS Code, because you can just click to open these files. I think we can just migrate that because we don't need order to have anything. So let's just do these one by one. I don't. We're not going to write any tests. I can just leave them as blank. Oh, I'll tell you what we can do. We can probably commit some of this stuff. Let's. I'll just do it in here. I haven't been committing as I've been going, so this is a bit messy. I'm just going to use the VS Code. Oh shit, we've got all of the view component stuff. Okay, well we can just leave that in unstaged. Okay, so we've got the schema. It's been updated. That's been updated. And we don't really care about the tests, so they can go. I just discard these. Oh, it's so good doing like just prototype crap because it can all go. So in terms of when you say what the project is about, is it do you mean the kind of output of the application? Because it's going to be an application that people purchase tickets for events, but with really cool group ticket purchasing features. That's the kind of goal of the application. And orders going in. I will tidy this crap up, but not right now. So we can add order model. We'll do for now. It's quick to just do the migration, isn't it? So what else did we have? We had. Okay, so we now have orders. So ticket type has name. It would have an event as well. I mean, it would seem that we probably should chuck event in as well. Yeah, let's chuck event in as well then. So let's just do the migration. I only need 2 files. Oh no, I can do. No, let's not do event, and there's a reason for that. It's because I want to come back and work out. So let's do ticket type. This is going to say no, right? Because we've already got the model. Okay, fine. But I want to keep a bunch of the stuff that's in here. So let's just rename this. Because we know we're going to destroy that in a second. And it doesn't like that, I'm guessing. No, okay, sorry. And I'm guessing it's probably going to ask for that as well. Okay, so that can go. Oh, crap. So I then missed what is actually on a ticket type. Well, at the moment, a ticket type just has a name. God, what's the syntax for this? I never remember this stuff. It's like, is it the field type or the name? Rails create migration. Just want syntax, creating a table. T.string. Okay, T.string name. Again, I point out that if you are an engineer who either thinks that everybody memorizes those things or are someone that memorizes those things. Like, I'm impressed if you memorize them. I myself am not someone who can do that. Okay, so we've got the name. I think that was it, because we just need it to do, we just need it to exist, right? So we can pass it into the order. So that'll do for that for now. We can ditch the test stuff. That can go. And that can go. Getting up. And then we can run the migration. Great, let's commit that as well. Just so that we have ticket type, schema, and the migration. And ticket type model. All right, so there's going to be a bit of setup involved in this, but we'll get there just because. Have you worked before as a Ruby on Rails programmer, or is it just for fun, like a hobby? No, it is my full-time job. Believe it or not. You wouldn't believe it from the code written on this stream at the weekends, but yeah, it is what I get paid to do for my job and have done for a long time. So when I genuinely hope that's kind of like good when people are like, oh, hey, he doesn't even memorize the stuff in migrations. It's like, yeah, I can't memorize that stuff. I got too many other things to try and remember. I guess we've got ticket type, we've got the order done, and let's do line item, I guess. I'm aware that I've left that prototype one in. And I by the way, I should have clarified, I don't mean prototype in like JavaScript. Like, what is a prototype? I just mean that like we're just prototyping stuff out, so that's just the junk version that we're going to throw away. I mean, it's all junk that we're going to throw away, but specifically that one. This one has ID and it has quantity. And that we're going to need to add loads of stuff to that, but that'll do for now. Let's just have that can have quantity as a God damn it. Got to do this again, go around this whole dance. Prototype. Okay. Cool, okay. I think that one we can just run the migration straight away because we just, let's just check check it has the thing I added. Just so that we're sure. Okay, and same deal as before. We're just going to commit from our very messy history. We just, oh no, we're going to run the migration. Then we're going to do the commit. Great. So then we can do schema, migration. The model, there we go. Add line item model. Okay, cool. So we're nearly getting there. We're nearly be able to just mock one of these up and we can destroy those test things as well. This can go. And this can go. Cool. And what else do we do in our like little order builder? Order creator, sorry. Did you see the new delegated type they added last year? Yeah, that we actually had I think in one of the threads towards the end of the previous app that we were working on, there was a conversation about delegated types. We were talking about, we had this notion of videos, I think, and some of them were Twitch videos and some of them were YouTube videos. So yeah, I haven't had a chance to use it though. So I am kind of interested to check that out. But maybe we'll go to on this application, so we can kind of give it a try. We'll create order record, create line items, and create line item balls. Okay, so we've got, so this is what our order creator kind of example we were doing. So we've now got a real model for order. We've now got a real model for line items, and we want to create some line item balls. And right, we didn't need. There was this notion that product was going to represent, I'm trying to remember this from last week. There was a notion that product represented anything. Was product anything that was a line itemable? And by line itemable, I mean you've got a user indicating they want to purchase a group of things. They then collect them together in a cart. They then pay for them. And at the moment that they, well, or they start the checkout process, whenever you trigger it. So they start the checkout process. At that point, you need to create a bunch of artifacts, especially for the ticket stuff, because you need to do the event allocation. Again, there's a million ways to design this. This is just the way I'm picking it. At the point where you do that, you're creating these artifacts like a ticket or an attendee. And the product represented, did the product represent the things in the basket, or did the product represent the things that were being created? Oh, okay. So a ticket type was a type of product. And why was it a type of product? Because it must be an e-commerce item. Oh, okay. So a product was a line item. This is most of development, is trying to remember what the thing you were doing last hour, last week, last day. So within the cart contents, you needed to find the type of product you were purchasing. And the reason for that is because each one would need to follow its own rules. Okay, so so instead of making a ticket type model, should I be making? Oh, maybe I should be using delegated types for that. It's funny you should just mention that. Maybe that's it. Maybe they are all products, and they all follow a set of rules. And then the way I think delegated types work is you then only need subtables for attributes that are different from the parent. I might be way off there. Okay, so maybe I just need a product model. But it doesn't matter because ticket type's the only one we've got right now, so that actually doesn't matter at all. The ticket type will do. We've got line item, therefore we don't need that. E-commerce was like the other example. Okay, let's go and try and make this then. So we'll just see what we break as we go through. Where did I add that stuff? Yes, okay. So let's do resources. Just from the chat, someday I wish I work as a Ruby on Rails dev. Oh, me too. Like it's a super amazing job. Like I highly recommend it, and I love it very much. I think I might be ready to finish university first, even though I don't do anything. Even though they don't teach me anything useful for web dev, only boring stuff. I'm studying computer science. I'll start third and last year soon, but wish I could finish it once in all of right now. Well, I know a bunch of developers, some of whom do and don't have computer science degrees. I don't think I know many people that regret them. So I think you'll, I don't think I know anyone that regrets their CS degree actually. So I think you're gonna be glad to do your final year. I mean, yeah, maybe you're excited for it to finish because it's a long time, but like I think you'll be super excited once you're done. So let's make a thing. And good luck, by the way. Like, have a wonderful final year. I guess with everything that's going on, all the COVID stuff, I have some family that are in university. I think it's a tough time to do all of that stuff. So good luck and have an amazing like third and last year. Resource card. Okay, so we are going to... Yeah, I think basically just do this for now. So let's do... Okay, so that gives us order. I think order is the Eventbrite one, actually. I think, just from memory, I think it is like /order, because that's their migration's pending. Oh shit, I thought I ran the last migration. Great, okay, cool. So order, and it's not /order, it's /order/new. Order controller, great. So let's bring this up to the top. This will be /order/new, and then that we can then have like /order/123 or whatever. Maybe an awful route, but let's just start. And we want a controller, don't we? Hey from India, how's it going? Hope you're having a wonderful, I'm gonna guess late afternoon, evening. I think you're forward, so you've already had most of your Sunday. That's my time zone time zone awareness. Okay, so we are gonna add in our order controller. I'm just gonna say good morning to everyone, because most people watch these on YouTube back, so like they don't know what time it is, whatever time it is for them. Order controller, okay, so this should now have view, and now we want our lovely fancy. Remember, we're just prototyping, like just building some stuff here just to try and demo the feasibility of what we're trying to do. So new order, not the band. We're just going to make a new order. The action new cannot be found for order controller. Action new order controller. Orders controller. Okay. I'd say the possibly God. The only difference between me Googling everything in Rails now versus like when I first started learning Rails is that I just catch the naming convention stuff mildly quicker. That's all the experience has really given me as a Rails developer. So Google everything else from scratch. But just like, is it a plural is basically the first thing my brain now thinks about everything. Okay, so let's commit that, because we're gonna come back and tidy up all that view controller stuff from the other week later. But let's try and be oh God, this is what I did when we were doing the other application. Because we're prototyping, I'm not really committing anything, and everything just gets really messy. But I only really want this line. How do you do a single? I'm just going to use source tree. I don't know how to do that in VS Code. I'm going to do it on the other screen. So I'm just going to try and put that individual line. Hang on, bear with me. Because I think... oh, hang on a second. So I've just got source tree open in another. I know that everyone else seems is like a super mega whiz with getting the in the terminal, and I do it. I just don't. I just like seeing it. I just like seeing it. And I'm not even ashamed of it. Just like seeing the changes I made. So these are staged. So we've got our view. We've got this. And we have got our controller, which is empty. That's fine. And everything else in here is stuff that we should probably start committing. I haven't bothered getting around to yet. Okay, because none of the other stuff that I've committed, the reason that I'm committing now is because we actually have real models. Well, not real, but like there's models and there's data that can be passed to things. Everything in here doesn't actually work. Like it's all static, or it doesn't really have any data in it. So this may be chunks, but add orders. Control that again. We're prototyping, so we're not doing any good Git hygiene. Make sure to practice good Git hygiene when working on real things. Now, where was our cart UI? Because that can now start to come into play. No need to build it twice. Had it from last week. Right, what can stay? This can all come, I guess. Views, orders, new. And then we had, right, so we don't need to worry about e-commerce products right now. That was just an idea for how that might work. So in here, we can save that. We can say, we can then remove, the cart was just a prototype that we're rebuilding here. So cart can go, so we can delete that view and we can delete the route. So we're removing all of the non-active record based prototyping stuff. So again, all of this is just like static HTML stuff. So we don't need to worry about keeping that around. Not that there's a problem if we did. So now we have this. So this view needs this idea of ticket types to exist. And in order controller, we need to then make those. So in here, see, this is, so what would actually happen here, because remember we're building an events application. So when you're buying tickets for an event, the application is going to need to know what event it's for, whether that is for, like, as we discussed, like a specific, like how, depending on how you model that, and it just needs to know something. Hey, I'm for this time slot or this venue or whatever it is. Like it's going to have some information to get there. We don't have that because we're not prototyped that out. So basically what we're doing is just like spoofing it here, where it's like this ticket type would have come from like the user putting that in their basket somehow and us keeping a reference to it. We just haven't modeled any of that out. So that's just, this is all fake for prototyping, but we shouldn't. So this creates an array here. So that's an array, and we're creating a ticket type. We're just new because we don't need it persisted yet. And then we're just passing it an attribute. And I think that was the only one. You just use name here. Yeah. So that's fine. So does this now work? Great. Okay, so then we have this idea of a shopping cart here, or a new order. And we can change the quantity of what we're buying. And it's example ticket type, which is what we put in the controller. So we could go and persist the ticket types in the database and load them in that controller action, but I don't know if that's particularly useful. No, okay, let's keep going. Got ticket types. Oh, maybe we actually need to because we have to persist them on the when we hit save. Okay. Let's make our order. Let's make our order. Let's do this thing. So this is going to be in here. There we go. So you've filled your shopping cart up in the user interface. Somehow you have maybe we've persisted that in another model, but now we're going to create the order. And again, as I said, because we're buying tickets, there might be some sort of allocation up front that we care about doing in terms of, you know, you've got 10 minutes left to buy these, but we've pre-allocated them for you. Here is where we might do that. And we had this idea in order creator. And let's just keep this. Let's just keep this for now. Like it's fine. Like it'll do. So in here we'll have what will we have? These are each right. Okay, yeah. This is where the product idea. So the params are going to be a collection, and each one represents a product type, or a product. So like a ticket type. So that will be the type and ID of that thing, a quantity, and then not much else because presumably we need to do all the calculations of pricing and everything on the back end. So the params would be oh, you're not really making an order though, so maybe we do actually need to model the cart separately, and you actually receive a cart. And let's come back to this. So this would do order creator dot new. Don't know what this did. It received a cart. Okay, so I obviously had the same thought last week, where actually you could make this, and then what did it do with that cart? It did create order. I actually don't always. Oh, for God's sake. I do kind of agree with that design choice of like order creator dot create order is like that. Not always wonderful, but it's actually pretty common in Rails, I find. I mean, it makes sense, but like it's called an order creator. If you tell it to do the thing, it should only be doing that one thing. So you don't need to say create order. You could be like order creator dot call, although I think that's controversial enough. Like whether everything should be callable. Not whether it should be callable, whether the method should be called call or anything like that. This will do for now because we don't really care. But we need to create this concept of a cart, I think. And did I do that before? Or did I just blather on about it and not do it? I guess not, because so one of the big differences I think about like this versus an e-commerce store is that the things you can purchase would be specific to that event. Like we did look at that demo. I think it's called Create Ticket or Create Event. I think it's called Create Event, the one we looked at last week. But you can buy multiple things. Like you can kind of go back and buy tickets for different sessions or something like that. But only within that event. As soon as you leave, your cart is lost. So I think that this idea of a cart can be limited in scope to, it's not like you're going to go and get tickets to a different event and then purchase those at the same time, because like that's too much, I think, for even the purchaser to hold in their head at the same time, because you have all of the rules for both events. So in here you might have, like we saw earlier, an e-commerce item or a donation or something like that that all be here. So even though you're creating an order and you can adjust your cart, you would be doing it all here. So maybe the concept of a cart is just a set of params used to build out the order. So maybe this is just, or maybe the cart is that, but the at cart equals something like this. Again, I'm not suggesting that's an amazing name, but just bear with me. Where I'm trying to get to is this. No, let's say that we actually build that for... Yeah, I was going to, sorry for that. I'm just kind of thinking through the... Which is stupid, because it, I'm never going to get this right first time anyway. So what are you going to have? Cart items. And then within the... I can't remember how to do collections within params either. Is it like this? But yeah, I just feel like this is so wrong. Like, it's just so far off how this will actually end up working. Rails nested params. What I'm looking for. Strong params must permit blah blah. As it sounds, when you want to permit nested, you do specify the attribute nested within an array. In that case, it would be this, and then that, and then that, and then that, which I think is the syntax I've got-ish. On the other hand, if you want multiple nested objects, then you... If you want nested of multiple objects... Oh, what's the difference? Sorry, hang on. One's in a hash and one's in an array. As odd as it sounds, when you want to permit nested attributes, you do specify the attributes of nested object within an array of nested okay, I think in your case it would be that. On the other hand, if you want nested of multiple objects, then you wrap it inside a hash. So look, permit name ground truth. What's ground truth? What? And then that one has type and coordinates. I'm going to read the actual docs on that because that doesn't make any sense to me. Use permit nested parameters like this. That's name. Okay, so in a hash, product items. I think like this. I might have got that the wrong way around. I think we can now collect an array of cart items, each of which should have one of these three things. I think. But our actual model doesn't have that. So if we do form 4, that won't work. Let's close some of this stuff down. So in here, let's make this a form 4. Wait, is it form width these days? No, do F. And that can all go in. And then end. And all of that stuff can stay because it's just there to make it look pretty. That can go. Right, so this would then, instead of this would build a cart item object. Of which an order can have multiple, I assume. But do we ever want to persist those? Do we ever want to persist those? Probably not. So for each of these ticket types, you'd actually have right, and this is why they were products. You'd have product ID and product type. Yeah, okay. Sorry, my mind is I'm not articulating very well because my mind is racing ahead. So let's just put them in as like, what is it? Rails text field. I don't even think you need f.text field, do you? Oh, you can do f. Okay. So then we can just do product type ticket type. Bear with me. I'm maybe way off in the weeds, going crazy over here, but let's just see. And then this is text field quantity. And that one can go. Syntax error. So is it? Wait, do you need the hash rocket there? Pets, person, name. Oh, I've put the hash in the wrong place, have I? Where's the controller gone? in here. I'm just jumping back to those docs. Pets, and then there's no hash around the thing. Okay. And then what's this? Like this? No. Sorry, I'm totally screwing this up. Why user permit name age? Carefully, in case permit ensures value in the return structure to permit anything else. Use permit on nested parameters like this. So pets is an array. Name is in there. These in an array like this. Cool. Okay. So form with order. I actually don't know if it is form with. I think that was just what I think the new one is. Is form with only if you don't have a record? Form with, oh, okay, so it's model. Is it like that? This is, I'm old now. I only know the old syntax for things. I know like one word for the new thing. Just get it wrong. Okay, so errors move to the next line. Great. No, okay, I didn't actually look up what text field actually took. Guessed. Post and title. Object name and method. Okay, so that is... Does it still check? Then options. So what are the options? Is one of the options value? Value. Okay. Oh, no, wait, it's not ticket type, it's car items. I think it's this. But I think it's just because I'm screwing the naming up because I'm skipping over actually bothering to work out how to model that, but I think it's that. Okay. Okay. Given 3, expected 1 to 2. Okay. Text field. 1, 2. Oh, right, because that one is not the form one. So what's, can I then do Rails form text field? Like, do you get 2? Yeah, you can also have f.text field. Right, okay, but that's only if the actual thing is there. Okay, so that's fine. These can then go. Is that right? Cool. Okay, so input. That's the wrong thing. I shouldn't be doing all this from memory, especially with my memory. F dot submit. Great. Okay, we've got a form. Sorry about that. That took a little while. And we got 1. 2. So why do we have 2? Why do we have 2? Because we should only have one ticket type. Oh, no, sorry, that's the ID. Right. Okay, so that's the type of product being purchased. That's the ID of the type. And then this is the quantity. Okay, great. And then we should be able to submit it. Yeah, cool. And there's nowhere to submit it to. And just post orders new. So we want to go into our routes. Again, I will remind everyone we are skipping just prototyping stuff out. So we're skipping any tests or doing anything with good code or due diligence or anything. We are just super orders new. Should then have okay, why is that not orders path, new order path? That's obviously not posting to /orders. And is it because in here that's not actually going to the right place? Great. Some error. Great. So this works perfectly. So rescue some error. That was me saying, hey, we could rescue some errors here. That's good. Okay, good. Right, this is making no sense probably, but let's not worry about that. Just kind of cracking through this. Good that this failed, and good that the thing knew to fail, and my crappy rescue code sort of rescued something, but didn't, because it was just an example. Okay, so yeah, like what actually, like nothing can happen here, right? Like it doesn't have any of the stuff it needs. What does it actually give you as an error? Cart content is not great. Okay, so what do we have as the params for that post when we make it? So we have what we wanted. Let's bump the font size up on this, which is cart item. So can we have 2 of these then? So let's say that we are buying, let's just check that we're doing that right. So in here we could have 2 of these. This can be ticket type number 1. Be ticket type number 2, that'll do. We go back to our UI. 2 of these things. That one should be, can't both be 1, but it doesn't matter. Should be 2. Next step. And what do we have as our params there? We now right, so of course, because we're not getting, so I did need to actually bother to model these out. So, so with Rails, as we did accept, I'm just aware that I haven't got as long today. I was hoping to get a bit further than this. So basically, with Rails, if we bother to say that these were, we can build it ourselves, but like, let's just spoof it for now. I think we can do that. These don't have to be symbols, do they? Find out. Again, all just super messy because actually we can even then do that. Name for integer ticket. Oh, I've done the wrong way around. Start at 0. Oh, it doesn't matter. We're not doing anything really with the quantity. So ticket. It's the value that's wrong as well. So what I'm basically doing is quickly spoofing what Rails gives you for free when it increments the names and everything of the fields when it knows the associations. So now we should hopefully have yeah, but they should be within a collection. But again, we'd get that if we had done the Rails stuff. But they're kind of coming through as we know that we can then loop over cut items. They're not coming through in a collection, but I'm just aware that we're going to run out of time today if we worry too much about that. But this will be a collection of things. How far do we want to go down that road? Because I want to get this kind of useful as a prototype pretty quickly. So do we care about going and actually modeling out those product types which I skipped over earlier? If this isn't a correct, we could just spoof this in the controller now. We don't really care about that. Or is this what the actual value of the prototype is? I think not, because what we really want to get to is building out those line items and then going to try and build where I was hoping to get to next to was building the equivalent UI of actually doing the viewing of the order purchased now in the admin UI and the editing of it. So I'm tempted to say, no, this probably isn't overly useful. So what we could do is pull all this out and just buy. I mean, we could keep a copy of it somewhere. Or even then, actually what might be quicker is just remove this one. It just doesn't matter that that's not coming through as a collection. We know that it should. Okay, fine. So we want to buy, they're all 0. Let's do you can do that, I think. That the incrementer? I think there's a couple of different incrementer syntaxes. That'll do. Right, okay, so that submits. We then have this cut contents. That should be a collection. We know that it isn't. That doesn't matter. Right, this is actually what we care about, which is getting to our order creator. So create order record. Create line items. Oh, are we creating those? How many orders do we have then? That's kind of exciting. No. Presumably that's failing for some reason. Oh, because it's within a transaction. So that is succeeding, but creating line items is failing. Okay. We can leave the bang on there. So cart contents. What is cart content? So cart. Oh, we never said it. This was all a prototype code. Okay. So cart comes in. Can we just see what this is? Oh, do you not have price set up on this? Oh. Okay, that's fine. Let's just spit it out. We don't really care. So what have we actually passed in here? We've passed in cart build order from params. Okay, nothing. So in here, order params would bring us back a collection of cart items. And for each are we actually going to do this or not? So we could do, but again, that's not a collection at the moment, which is super annoying, but it would be eventually. So for each cart item that we had, we would want to do what? We would want to do check that the product is associated with the event. Check the product is purchasable. Maybe you would do, I think as you touched on this last week, maybe you would do this within the creator itself. Like you just need to validate these because this is user-based input here. So you need to check that everything that goes through, even if they've messed with the, I mean, it's not just that it's purchasable at all, but that it's purchasable by this user. So that could potentially involve even doing the stock allocation check there. Like, are there 10 tickets to this thing left of that ticket type? So you could do all that there. And then the you need to, if you got everything going correctly, as long as they've been validated, you could then just, this would actually be, this could be like validate order params or something. You could like validate order really. Because you, again, we get it for free if we made them active record stuff. You could then assign errors to stuff and things like that there. And then you could just pass. Yeah, maybe I would build cart item out as a separate record. Because then you could pass the cart back. Yeah, so did we ever create a cart model? No, I think maybe creating a cart model and having it represent what gets passed to the order. So it's basically it's the thing that manages the params for that page and validates them before creating an order. So, but it's the thing you then pass through. Yeah. So this is what prototyping is for. Like this sounds stupid, like I'm wasting my time, but so you wouldn't need to persist it necessarily. But we could have, did I try this last week and then back away from it? And then that, like the others, could have this. And are we then saying that it has many cart items? I don't know if I'm saying this, by the way. I'm just trying stuff out. Doing prototyping. I don't like if does active model give you that? And then this can have, what do these have? Can have they would basically like be because in the controller when you built your you'd go through here. Yeah, again, this is where it's I'm not articulating this very well at all, but basically my mind is like just running over all of the many options. I'm trying to do this like I think the big change from last stream was like I wanted to be practical on this, but like whenever I've built anything kind of complex, there is a time where a developer goes away and just like prototype stuff for like hours, and has a play around and comes up with a bunch of options and sees what works and what doesn't. Like this isn't like me not, I mean, I'm more than willing to admit I have no idea what I'm doing, but like it's not like when you're more experienced, you suddenly sit down and go like, oh, I'm going to nail this first time. Nor is it particularly clean. Like my approach to it is probably super messy, but because you could do this in like a really TDD based way, but I haven't sat down and worked out the specs of what I'm doing first. Like I'm not really sure what I care about until I'm bumping into it. So I'm more than happy for the entire process to be super messy. But if we had a set of designs and user experience specs and all of the like, it must do this, but not this and not that, like I think we could have a cleaner process. We're just kind of figuring this out. So that's fine, by the way. Like I'm just wanted to mention that. So in here, what I was trying to get to was the difference between an e-commerce checkout is that the user would have picked a set of, the user would have gone around what was available on the rest of the site and then come and picked each one. Here, we're showing you this is the only stuff that's available for this event. Like you've already browsed, the event is the thing. Here's what's available for this. And this is the only point at which you can add or remove quantities. Which is the Eventbrite way of doing it, but it wasn't the Event Create way of doing it. They actually gave you... I don't know if they were persisted though. They basically just gave you a step in front of that where you kind of clicked add to cart rather than showing everything and having, from memory, what Eventbrite does is just show you everything and give you a 0 counter and be like, right, one, two of these ticket types, 3 of these ticket types, whatever, and all the ticket types that are available at that moment are visible in the UI. I can't remember what it's called, create event, I think, whatever it's called. They gave you the options, you added the ones to the cart that you wanted, then you pick the quantities later. I wonder why they do that. Because you could add more ticket types. You could go back and add more to the order. I wonder if persisting that has some advantage. Not sure. Okay. I'm just super aware of the time as well. Okay, so yeah, let's model. Let's keep modeling it then. So can we do this? Like, not really sure what we get from active model. Cut.new. Undefined method has many for cut class. No, okay, so that's an active record, not an active model. So presumably we can do oh, is there a shorthand to do like an attribute accessor that's a collection? It must be. Attribute accessor collection. Although you can implement a class which X is quite unusual. Normally X's get when you set something uses set, you get the same thing back from the guy. Wait, is this asking to do something different to me? Yeah, fine. Okay. Yeah, okay, fine. I don't really care about what it's called. So this is the point it's trying to make. I don't really care. So we're only prototyping this out. Remember, so we went on cut items. Sorry, that should be a collection. Or an array, sorry. That could be cut item, and then this just returns cut items. But then you can just have the attribute accessor. I guess that doesn't matter. So then if we do this, we do this. No, because it's not an actual property. So we can do cut.new. I'm an idiot. Cut equals cut.new, cut.add, cut item, and that is cut item. New. Great. Okay, and then when we do cut items, this is a like we could just do this in active record later, like because I think we'd probably want to persist them, but come back to that. Right, so now I have this cart. The cart can have multiple cart items. That would be then the thing. I've just got to run. It's now 12 o'clock. Okay, I have to go. Right, I was hoping to get us through this and then out to viewing them in the admin area. As such, am I willing to... Oh, wait. Is this shit I had started to do last? Yeah, so this was me. Yeah, okay. So this was me basically spoofing the code that we are now actually writing. Okay, that's fine. Okay, good. So I'm basically where we were last week. We're actually building it out. Okay, fine. So this is, and it's the same idea. It's good because at least you're coming to the same conclusion twice. The idea is that you need to have this thing of a cart. It needs to do everything it needs to do to the cart items, and only then can you pass it through. Okay, right. I've come to the same conclusion twice over 2 weeks without thinking about it in between. So great. Okay, and then this is what we're actually building out now. These didn't exist, so like I'm not like redoing stuff that wasn't there. I was just doing it as an example. So these now exist. Like that will go. That will go. And then that was an example of using a response, like a response object, like a kind of value as a return rather than returning the actual cart. Cool. Okay, so we're now actually we're building this out. Okay, we're actually putting this up. So we've got cart, we've got cart item, and the cart item would then have it would be product type. I have got to go, but I just want to keep going. So product type, it would have the product ID, it would have the quantity, it would have a bunch of other stuff that we cared about, but that doesn't matter because all we care about is this. So where is that then happening? In the controller where we build the order. When we do create, we do this. This would loop over that. For each one, we would then do cart item dot new, and we would pass in product type is again, no idea if this is good or making any sense or anything. We're not worried about that. We're not worried about whether it's good or makes any sense. That's not something we worry about on these kind of prototyping live streams. Quantity. Okay. And then maybe have validate order. Maybe we wouldn't do this all in one method, but we get the idea. And then in here we could do cart.add item. Cart item again, we'd lay this out, we'd work out what to do with this later. That isn't doing these 2 steps, but we could do them here, or we could populate the. Yeah, we could do them here. You do them before adding to the cart, I guess. And maybe a cart item can then have errors, and that's what you pass back to the UI. Yeah, so that I think that really has an impact on the user experience as like how we model this out, because I'm thinking of the way that Eventbrite did it versus those other ones. Are we always showing every ticket type the user can purchase for an event? So if they are like 5 different ticket types, like I just went to something, I used Eventbrite this weekend. It was like Friday tickets, Friday early bird, Friday standard, Friday VIP, Saturday early bird, Saturday standard. So like 3 days, 3 different ticket types. You've got 9 ticket types. And on the order form, they then kind of show 9 ticket types, each one with like a quantity box. And that's always the basket UI as I understand it. Whereas if we're not doing that, is the user then allowed to come and create this idea of a persistent cart that then needs to follow them around? Like, could I go somewhere else and need to come back and that cart be there and then still populate an order when I get there? When I go to pay? And does this design impact on that? I don't know the answer to any of those questions off the top of my head. I'm just aware of the time. I don't think, let's not worry about that right now. So this would give us a cart that had stuff in it, I think. So can we get here? Can we add pry in, actually? I thought we did this, or was that on a different... gem install pry. Let's just try pry. And then if we call the server, cool. So let's see if we then can get here. Cool. Okay, isn't it not next, is it? Okay, I definitely haven't set pry up in this. Normally next and step are the ones I would use. Maybe I have to install other stuff for that. Rails pry next step. I think probably pry by bug is possibly the one I've used before. Just looking at that, let's come out of that. And in here, let's do this. I have already got to go, but I'm just going to keep... I just want to see what we're getting out the other end. Cool. Okay, so does this build us a cart? Great. So what is this? Order params has this. And order params cart items has this. It only has quantity, so something has gone wrong. And therefore I don't think we'll be able to... Product type 1. Oh, okay. So because these then don't match the exact ones we whitelisted in the controller. Okay, I'm going to have to drop out just because of time. Okay, so we're going to pick up here, maybe at this rate, probably next week again. I'm going to try and do something before next Sunday, but zero promises. But just to clarify what happened there, like we're trying to just spoof something. This is kind of where we're trying to spoof something that Rails would give us, which is like allowing us to create collections of nested objects and have params pass through to them. But in the controller, we then had not allowed for that. So it's blocking those coming through. We'll pick up there. Might try and be able to look at this within the week, maybe not. And what I really want to get to is the user being able to move that purchase all the way through and have the records actually created, and specifically then being able to go and administrate that on the admin area, and then look at how what we've done on the line items affects editing the attendee, plus the idea of the group rules around those events. So like really super specific. So if you're following along, like huge respect, because I'm having to remember everything each week. I'll try and put some docs or something together, but I'm not sure I'm guaranteed to find time to do that. But what would really be helpful, I think, is if I actually did an actual spec in a UI design and like, this is what we're actually trying to build. But again, because of time, I'm not actually sure I'm going to get time to do that. But that would probably be the most helpful thing for what's next. I'll see if I get time. Maybe. Okay, have a wonderful week, everybody who watches or comments or anything like that in the chat. It's super appreciated. And have... feel free to reach out if you have any questions or anything like that. My Twitter and some other stuff is in the descriptions on the YouTube videos. If you're watching this on Twitch, you can find all the previous streams on YouTube. Have a wonderful week, everybody. And if I don't see you before, I'll see you next Sunday, 10:30 a.m. UK time, or you can watch these anytime on YouTube. Have a wonderful week.